What's up, Internet? You're tuning in to episode 21 of Nintendo Noise, FlipScreen Games' weekly Nintendo podcast. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined, as always, by my very good friends and co-hosts, Mr. Steven Radford.
Hello, hello.
And the mayor of Haken himself, Mr. Chuy Huerta.
Hello, hello. I waited. In my head, I was just like, don't jump the gun. Don't jump the gun.
Nailed it. Already nailing your resolution for the year,
face.
Chuy.
Yeah. I was focused.
I appreciate that. And, I got to say, I also appreciate this episode because just like we said on, FlipScreen Games podcast this week, it is all about our 2022 predictions on this week's show. So if you caught FlipScreen Games this week, you know exactly what we're doing on this one. It's all Nintendo. Chewy's in the mix. It's going to be insane. We've got 33-ish predictions to take you through. And, we'll plant our flags. We'll see who wins at the end of the year. That's going to be really fun. But before that, we've got a couple questions from you in the community and a bunch of other stuff to talk about. But before we even get into that, let me remind you that this episode of Nintendo Noise is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of January. They are, of course, Andy Radford, Christian Oliveria, Christopher Valenz, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, a.k.a. Asobi, Smilky Shake, Wakahula, and Zaid Ida. Thank you guys so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. Y'all are the realest of the real, and we appreciate your support. Speaking of, if you want to go show your support over on the Patreon, that would be great. It's the best way that you can show your support. Easiest way to help us out, help us keep growing what we're doing over here. But, if you do, there's a bunch of little good perks and goodies you can get. You can become a Patreon producer like those fine folks did, and I'll read your name on the air. But you can also get access to our Patreon-exclusive podcast, One More Thing, which I got to say, this week's show may be the best one of all time. It was nuts. Yeah. Steve and I invented a dessert together.
Yeah, I realized I made a name off of the Patreon producer list for this week.
Oh, right, I forgot. Yeah, who could forget? Patreon producer Mary Berry. Thank her so much for her support. Huge fan. We're a huge fan of her work. Really cool to see that she's a huge fan of ours as well. If you want to hear all about Steve and I developing the Platinum Pie, which is going to become the next official baked good of the British royalty, you're going to want to go tune into that episode. And I swear to God, I'm not kidding. This is a real thing that we did. We're going to submit it in a contest and everything. It's going to be fucking awesome. So get ready to make British baking history, everybody, okay?
And patrons are going to get the recipe to that because we're actually going to we have to make the thing in order to submit it to the contest. So you're going to get the recipe, but you cannot share it with anyone.
Yeah.
That's a Patreon exclusive thing.
It's a Patreon exclusive recipe. And, we said on the show, there's another thing we're thinking about doing in the future where everybody in the world could get access to it. But for right now, this is just for the Patreon kids. So I think normally I do my best to make sure that we're providing, content and output over on the Patreon that is like worth your money, right? I really want to give you bang for your buck. A recipe of an original dish doesn't even exist yet. Can you believe? Amazing. So, we're branching out over there on the Patreon. So if you've never backed us before, maybe now's the time. Go check it out. Speaking of things that you can also get the archive of our Twitch streams where every Wednesday and Thursday we've been streaming over on twitch.tv/FlipScreenGames. We had a poll up this week to figure out what's going to be Steve's next solo game. Steve, are you ready to announce the winner of the poll?
I am. The winner is Metroid Fusion.
It
won by a landslide.
Fusion. Oh my God. Amazing. Incredible. Astounding. Who would have guessed? Community's been pushing for this one for a while.
They have, but then there was also this coup thing going on with Zaid and Asobi and them teaming up and trading votes and Zaid trying to get judgment across the line. But Metroid Fusion won out. I think people are ready for a small, short game after the long slug that was Shenmue. So
nice and short and easy like Metroid.
Yeah, well, yeah. Apparently it's meant to be pretty short, 8 hours. But then again, I was told that about Metroid Dread, and then I ended up playing that for 20. So I'm probably going to need guides and people in the chat to help me out. So come along and watch next Wednesday.
Yeah, so by the time you're listening to this, next week will be episode number 1. So make sure you tune in for that on Wednesdays moving forward. But on Thursday nights, we do our multiplayer streams. Last week, Steve and Chuy played a little bit of Splatoon while I was sick. This week, we're going to be playing another heavily requested game from the community. Steve and I are going to be jumping into a little bit of It Takes Two, which, of course, Game of the Year from the Game Awards last year, a game that, I think was on our radar and we just never quite got around to it. So I'm excited to finally give that a shot with you on stream, Steve. I think that should be a good time.
Yeah, 100%. I'm really looking forward to it. It's reminded me I need to download it, ready for tonight's stream.
Me too.
So I should definitely go and do that.
Let me add that to my to-do list. Okay, yeah, doing that right there. Okay, good. It's on the list. But if you don't have any money to toss our way, that's no big deal. There's a ton of free ways that you can get involved and interact with the show. Head over to FlipScreen.games, which is our website where we've got links to all of the places that you can become part of the conversation after the show, including our Discord, our social media accounts, Twitter specifically, and you can also write into the show questions@FlipScreen.games. But, of course, the Discord, probably the best way for you to keep the conversation rolling. It is a safe, inclusive place for you to come and chat games. Yeah, we're always in there hanging out, talking to people. Any of the folks that you've, seen right into the show over and over again, they're all there. So come be a part of the community. Come meet us. Come chat with us. Keep the conversation rolling after the show ends. Speaking of a couple of those folks, we got some folks who wrote into the mailbag this week, and they are all tying into our main topic, Nintendo 2022 predictions. It is going to be a nuts one. I want to get right into it because, like I said, we got to go through 33 of these things. I know there's going to be some arguments if Monday's show was any indication.
Yes, absolutely. So you cheated. We found out after the fact that you absolutely cheated with one of those predictions, and I'm calling you out here.
I cheated.
This is the first time.
Now
you cheated
I'm a cheater
because it went gold. It went gold in summer, and apparently that was just glossed over that fact.
I'm sorry. Did you call me out during the show?
I did call you out during the show. I said you couldn't have it.
Yeah, and we adjusted the parameters, and you agreed to them. I said the game wouldn't get delayed. Just because it went gold doesn't.
I got Chuy on my side this time, so there'll be no easy peasy ones. There'll be nothing that's already been announced that you're trying to sneak in there.
All right, so it's like Mario Party, right? So you guys are gonna conspire against me. I should have brought Doc in to be my champion to get my legislation across.
I follow the philosophy of if it rhymes, it must be true, and Pete rhymes with cheat. So
wow. Okay.
Must be true.
Well, who can argue with logic like that, right? So, look, you want to call me a cheater because I win, because I make good predictions? Yeah, it's fine. I get it, right? But, you've got a chance now, right here, to redeem yourself, Steve. So I hope you brought your A game, unlike last year, but we'll see.
Wow, okay. It was a tie,
saying,
but
you
sure.
want to start slinging shit before we even start? You called me a cheater on my own podcast. I'm not gonna just take that lying down, So what we're gonna do here, if you didn't check out the FlipScreen show on Monday, of course, go check that out if you want to hear our predictions for everything outside the world of Nintendo. But what we're gonna be doing here is each of us has a list of over 10 predictions. We are gonna be going in kind of like a round robin style. Chuy will get to go first because Steve went first on Monday's show. I'll go second, and then Steve will go last here. So each one of us will give one prediction as we go through our list of 10, and then we'll each give our risky pick, which is kind of an extra bonus prediction that we don't really think is going to happen, but if it does, you get double points because it's meant to be something that's, not quite likely.
And there was a couple other ground rules reset in that show. We're doing fraction points this year, which we weren't allowed to do last year. So this year you can have a third of a point or half of a point if one of the conditions works. So one of my predictions over on FlipScreen Games podcast was about a headset coming out for a specific price at a specific time. If only one of those things happens, then I get half a point. If they both happen, then I get a whole point.
Well, actually, there was 3 parts to that. where you were like, it will come out at this price, and it will do this thing.
So I could get a third of a point.
Yeah. So if only one of those, like if
Okay.
it comes out but you got the date wrong and it doesn't have that feature, you'd get a third of a point. So yeah, so there's some ways you can kind of like be strategic with it here, and and try to save yourself half points and stuff like that if you feel like some of your predictions are too spicy.
Yeah. And what's the prize, Pete? Just to tell everyone here.
So Steve and I decided on Monday that what we want to do here is we're gonna create. We're in between right now whether it's a trophy or a belt.
It's got to be a trophy. A belt is ridiculous. It's gotta be
It is
trophy.
ridiculous, but that
I
makes
want
it better.
a trophy on my shelf behind me, not some.
I want to be able to put the belt on and throw it in your face. How funny would it be if you
My
called
vote
me a
is belt.
cheater and I was like, "Oh, really, Steve? I'm a cheater? Here's the belt." Like,
My vote is belt.
so we're gonna look into the financial restrictions and everything.
Those belts are gonna be so expensive compared to like a tiny little trophy that we can ship across
figure it
the
out. We'll
Atlantic
figure it out.
Ocean.
I promise. And the plan is we're gonna do one for FlipScreen and one for Nintendo Noise, and the winners will we'll get to keep the trophy for a year between predictions. So we'll have to figure out the logistics of that. Me being the first ever inaugural champion, whenever we make it, I'll get it for the rest of this year, and then we'll take it from there. I think because I'm the first winner, maybe we call it the Mbessi Trophy. I don't know, but we'll figure it out.
Definitely not.
We'll see. We'll figure it out. I've heard it both ways. We'll see. We'll see what the community thinks.
What about the Cheaters Cup? That sounds
The
that sounds more
Cheaters
fitting,
Cup.
right?
Yeah, I mean, if you win it, then sure, that makes sense.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll rename it next year then.
Yeah, that'll work. Anyway, let's get to it. Chuy, like I said, is going to start. So why don't you start with your number 10, Chuy?
All right. After we've spoken about this, I have two that I think you both might share with me. But I think of those two, there's one that I want most, so I'm going to predict it. Splatoon 3, Joy-Con, or an OLED Switch theme with like special Splatoon 3 Joy-Con. Just some new colors, new little controllers,
Okay.
all splatted up with the new color scheme for Splatoon 3, which I forget what colors they went with on this one.
So essentially,
they all-
Splatoon will either get a set of Joy-Cons or an OLED.
A limited console.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like a limited
or-
console iteration.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's got to be an OLED console, so if
I don't think
like,
it has to be OLED. If you want to make it that's fine, but it doesn't have to be.
I mean,
OLED
I
Switch.
said OLED. I think they'll go OLED with it,
Okay.
but mostly I just care about the Joy-Con, and I hope
could-
that they
Imagine if
release
it's
them
like a-
separately.
I could see it being a Pro controller instead, like
I
a
was-
Oh,
Splatoon
that'd be
3
good too,
Pro
yeah.
controller.
Yeah, I was
instead
gonna
of a
say I could
Joy-Con.
see it being a
They've
Switch
done
Lite.
both. They have done both already. They did Splatoon 2 Joy-Con, and then they also had the Pro controller.
I wonder what the
So-
colors will be.
The
The two mismatched
I forget.
I
colors.
think
There's
it's
usually-
orange again, isn't it?
What was the first game? Like orange and blue,
Orange and
right?
blue.
And then this one's
Uh,
pink and green.
It's purple and lime yellow, like the highlighted yellow. By the looks of it, Splatoon 3. It's purple
Yeah.
and like a bright yellow.
I
They
mean,
could probably
thinking
just
of both
reuse the
colors too,
arms
though.
Joy-Con. So we've already
Yeah.
got the two colors. You've got the GameCube purple one that they did with like the spicy orange one,
Uh-huh.
and then you've got the arms one. They've already got these two.
There we
They just
go.
sell them as a set.
There
Done.
we go.
Yeah.
Splatoon.
All right.
And I think at some point they released like the lime one as a 2-pack for, was it Arms? Was it Luigi's
Yeah,
Mansion?
it was the arms.
Arms? Yeah, something like that. So, yep, Splatoon themed something because
crossed.
I want it.
So, okay. Oh, I'm in a weird spot because I have two predictions that I want to make that are like kind of related to each other and tie into a question. And I want to ask the question and give both of my predictions, but I don't want to cut the line, and I don't know an elegant way to do this.
Keep
So, which question are they related to? Whose question are they related
If I
to?
tell you that, then you know.
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah. This is tough.
I don't.
I guess you
Ooh.
have to reveal your first prediction and then do the question, and then then it's like, I guess, my choice if I want to reveal my number 9 and Chuy's number 8 before you get to do your number 8.
So you're saying I'll read it and I can
reveal
give the
one
option.
of them. Yeah, you can reveal one of them, and if we want to come in and do our ones before you get your second round.
I like that. Okay. All right, so then I'm going to jump into this question from the mailbag. This one comes from one at Mango who wrote in and said, if you had to predict, is there going to be a new Switch revision/console in 2022, or will it be 2023 at the earliest? And is there going to be a new Fire Emblem game this year? So my first prediction is no Switch Pro in 2022. And my reasoning behind this is the Switch undersold this year because of shortages. Nintendo had to reduce their projections for the number of Switches that were supposed to be sold. The direct reasoning behind that was the ongoing worldwide chip shortage. Based on some of my other predictions about the rising trends of crypto and NFT and all this stuff, I think chip shortages are going to continue into 2023, making it tougher to come by those necessary pieces for new hardware. And the OLED Switch, right, was notoriously difficult to get your hands on and remains difficult to get your hands on for the most part. So the idea of them announcing and releasing a new SKU at a time when it's very difficult to get your hands on them and you still have product on shelves, or not on shelves, but you still have a popular product that is flying off the shelf, right? What's the reason to do that when you already did a revision and nobody can get their hands on it even though they want it? It's it just feels like you're going to be crowding the market, and I just don't see them doing another iteration of the Switch this year. In fact, I'm actually increasingly starting to think that there won't be a Switch Pro, and that whatever planned changes and increases to the Switch that we've been asking for are something that are going to be saved for a revision.
I think the next Switch it'll be like Switch 2, but I think it's going to still be backwards compatible. It's essentially just going to be a new Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like a mid-gen refresh, which is what people were expecting. I think that was the OLED Switch.
Yeah, I think the time for that is come and gone at this point. And there's an analyst who's predicting that it's going to come in 2024 now. That doesn't seem crazy to me.
A 7-year lifespan, right?
That's pretty standard, and especially because
that's a long time. 2023 is going to be painful to get through if we've got that long to wait. All of this year, all of next year, probably some of 2024 until we get a new console.
I'm at the point.
Luckily, though, we'll have Zelda in 2023.
Exactly.
No, that's happening this year, Chuy. No, don't worry about that. We're gonna have that this year.
And that's my thing is I wouldn't be surprised if we get a similar trajectory to what we saw with the Switch, where it's late next year they announce, hey, we're working on our next console, and the successor to the Nintendo Switch, whatever is coming, and you'll hear about it later, and then we see it, and then it comes out a few months later. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I think no Switch Pro in 2022. I don't think we get a revision on the console.
Yeah,
cool.
I think I've always been at that point where it's regardless if it's the next Switch or the Switch Pro, whatever their plans are, it's taking a lot longer just based on the chip shortage. And just like you, I don't see that changing anytime soon. So it's probably just we have these ideas, we don't have the means to actually manufacture them and get them out. So
yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, Pete. I want to use the option to go next, so you're gonna have to wait.
All right. Fair enough.
My number 10 will now be a Fire Emblem game that is not turn-based will be announced. So I think it's time for another Fire Emblem game, but I'd like to see them do something different with it. Whether it's an offshoot, maybe it's like a visual novel style thing, something different in the Fire Emblem universe. I think people have become attached to and love.
So
but it's not that traditional
a spin-off.
concept.
I mean,
Yeah, I guess a spin-off.
they already kind of made a Fire Emblem fighting game, right? Wasn't that called Super Smash Brothers Ultimate?
Yeah, I think I heard about that one. Yeah, that wouldn't count in this instance. It has to have Fire Emblem
Yeah,
in the name, I
yeah.
think.
Okay. What about you,
Yeah.
Chuy?
I mean, I had one similar to that, but I guess not going away from the Fire Emblem thing, like the actual like tactics, gameplay, and everything. I guess I'll go next. Yeah, my next one, I'm gonna predict that Fire Emblem gets a remake. A lot of people are thinking it's a certain remake, but I'm gonna go with the one that I want. I want them to do a Radiant collection, which combines Fire Emblem Path of Radiance and Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. Path of Radiance was on the GameCube. I saw it at a little store the other day for $350, and I was like, nope, not ever getting that game.
Damn, that's crazy.
And then, luckily, I do have Radiant Dawn still in my collection, so I don't have to get that one. But I think still, if they just remade them so I could get them both in one sweet little package that looks really good and I can play everywhere, that'd be nice. So, yeah.
Okay. So Fire Emblem Radiant Collection on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. You both did Fire Emblem ones, but you screwed up spectacularly, so I can still do mine. So mine is that number 9 is that we will get the next mainline entry in the Fire Emblem franchise, so a proper new Fire Emblem game. There's never been more than 2 years between releases, and Three Houses was the best-selling game in the franchise, so I think, it would be ridiculous for Nintendo to not want to get another one out the door, and the idea that it's been in active development while... Because for those who don't know, Intelligent Systems has 2 offices, like 2 different teams. So, they are also the team working on WarioWare. But like, if you go and look at their trajectory, every year, pretty much since it's existed, Fire Emblem has come out. At least one other game has come out that year. They take a year to 2 years off, and then another one comes out. So I think it's
So
time.
this has been released. It's not just announced.
Yeah, I think so.
Need to put that down then.
Okay. Yeah, I'll say is released. Sure. I'll say it. Yeah.
Because mine's just announced. I don't think it's coming out this year.
I'm gonna go spicy. Like I said, there's never been more than 2 years between releases, and
Okay.
the last one that they made was the first one on Switch, and it had the same amount of development time, and they don't have to start from scratch again.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the first.
The like geometrically challenged fruit on the on the counters, ready for people to eat.
Well, and that was the first console Fire Emblem since GameCube. So like, I could see that having taken longer than normal, and it didn't. So, yeah, I don't know.
I thought it did. It got delayed a couple times. They wanted it earlier.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's
originally
still
like 2018.
I'm pretty sure I'm still correct in terms of the. I'm just gonna look this
You
up.
probably
just to
are,
be sure.
because the one right before that was the remake, Shadows of Valencia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that one was on 3DS. That one was pretty shortly before.
Yeah, it looks like it. So Fates was 2015.
Yeah.
Then Shadows of Valencia, and then Three Houses 2 years after that. So
Yeah.
they seem to follow that trajectory. There's like a few like blips, but for the most part, you're right.
And like it could be that I'm wrong and Chuy's right, and it's time for a remake, and then they'll do something new. But yeah, I'm gonna.
I think a remake counts, right? It's new on the.
Yeah, because all I said is that
game.
a new Fire Emblem will be released. So yeah.
That's fair.
Okay.
Well, I'll stick with the other side of the question, and I'm gonna say that I agree with you, Pete. I don't think there's a Switch Pro, but I think Nintendo's finally going to acknowledge that successor to the Switch is being worked on
This year.
Yes.
Wow.
I think
okay.
it's about time they said that they're
Feels
working on
early.
a new console. No, I know, but the PR has been, we have nothing to announce. We're not working on a new console. This is what we've got. It's like, come on, like you must have some information out there, right? Because they did it with the Wii U going into the NX. We had it with the Wii when it was the Revolution. We had the Nintendo 64 was the Ultra 64. That they've historically always said what they're working on prior to even showing anything or talking about specs or anything like that. And I kind of think if it's coming out 2023 or 2024, I think it's about time that they at least acknowledge that a new thing is coming.
Okay. Yeah.
Even if it's just to like investors, I think that they will say that they are working on something new.
Not a bad pick.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Chuy. Number
All right.
8.
What do you both think of when I say BK3?
Burger King 3.
I thought about Burger King as well. It's
Burger
really
King
bad.
3 coming
That's
to the
funny. I was
Nintendo
thinking you would
Switch.
either think that or Banjo-Kazooie 3. I wanted to mislead you either way. Rumors have it Monolith Soft is working on a new game. A lot of people are thinking maybe it's a port of Xenoblade Chronicles X. Some others are thinking it's Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I think it's going to be Baton Kaitos 3. They haven't touched that forever, and I personally just want that one.
Alright.
I don't know if it'll do that well, but I want it, so that's my next prediction. They're working on Baton Kaitos 3.
Cool.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. This is another one that I think you might think of, so I'm going to throw this one out there. My number 8 is Nintendo will bring more DLC to the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack.
Dang.
Yeah, I had that as well. And I was going to be my answer to Wakahula's question, which was, are there any N64 Mega Drive / Genesis games that convince you to subscribe to the higher tier if you haven't already? My answer to that is no, because the N64 stuff was bad. But more DLC absolutely would convince me, if I didn't already have it, thanks to Doc, would convince me to subscribe.
I already subscribe because I am a mark, so they got me. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for plenty more games to come to the platform.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was one of mine, so I'm gonna have to think about something else later down the line, but that's fine. In the meantime, countering what Chuy said, I think a new Xenoblade game will be revealed. I think it's about time. We've had all those rumors. There was the rumors of like the voice actors coming back, I think.
when did the definitive edition come out now? It's like 2 years ago, wasn't it?
2019? So it's been a good time.
Oh, no, it was 2020.
Oh, it's still 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's a remake, too. So, like, I was just wondering.
Yeah, so I think it's about time. The only thing that concerns me is whether this is like a launch title along with Mario Kart 9 for the new Switch, and they want to kind of delay it and hold off, because I know, is it handheld, Chewy, that game looks really rough, or is it docked? One of them, it just looks terrible.
All of them handheld look rough. Xenoblade Chronicles on 3DS, not great looking, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on Switch handheld, not great looking. They're pretty. That's a TV game for sure.
Okay.
All right, Chewy.
All right.
Number 7.
This one is gonna be really funny when it happens and everybody's mad at mobile games. Mario Kart gets named Mario Kart 10 because Mario Kart Tour is Mario Kart 9.
Is that like what they did with Mario Kart DS?
So
Yeah,
wait, so
basically.
is your prediction that it will be revealed and it will be Mario Kart 10?
Yes, that's
Okay.
my prediction.
So you think it's getting a reveal this year?
Is revealed.
Yes.
It is called
September.
Mario Kart 10.
Wow. Okay.
E3 or September.
That's bold. It's bold as hell. I like it.
Do you know? I'm not saying it, but I think it's called Super Mario Kart, not Mario Kart, and a number.
Interesting.
Like the first one?
Yeah, like they did Super Mario Party. Just do Super Mario Kart. It's like a reboot. We start
Well,
from
I think
scratch.
the first one is called Super Mario Kart.
Isn't it just called Mario Kart?
I thought on the SNES it was Super Mario Kart.
I think it's Mario Kart and then Wait a minute. Now
I think
I'm
it's
not
Super
so
Mario
sure.
Kart.
It's Super Mario Kart, Mario Kart 64,
Okay.
Mario Kart Double Dash.
Maybe they just call it Mario Kart.
Hmm.
Anyway, whoops. My number 7 is Mario Kart 9 will not be revealed. Nintendo is saving it for next-gen consoles.
Okay, fair enough.
My argument
I'm
there
not
is
going anywhere near that.
I think it's the same thing as like the argument I made about the Switch, right? Where it's like Mario Kart 8 is still a bestseller every year. There's no reason.
Yeah, but mainly because they bundle it in with the Black Friday deal every single year.
Shit,
and
but
they
it
count that as a
works,
sale.
right? Like it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
that, but people also organically buy it. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
with that in mind, why put it out? Why put out a Mario Kart 9 and cannibalize a game that's continuing to sell when you could save it and have it be a huge talking point when it's time to show off the Switch 2? And you're like, here's Mario Kart 9 and Breath of the Wild 2, like running on the Switch 2.
I know why. Because once they put out the deluxe version on Switch 2, they're going to make all those sales all over
Shit,
again.
you're right. Okay. Number 7, Steve.
So I'm doing it this early because I think either of you is going to say it, which is Mario Party Superstars will get DLC or a free update.
Oh, man.
I did not have that on mine.
I did
Shit.
not have
That's
that.
such a slam dunk. That's a great one.
I did not have that, but mostly because I didn't want to. I don't know if my little heart could handle the disappointment.
I'm keeping all of my fingers crossed for this one, and like I think I can just see it now. It's just going to be dropped on a tweet or on a YouTube video
Yeah.
one day, and we just
Mhm.
see there's some new boards, and that'll be it. I don't think they'll make a big deal out of it. It'll be like what they did with the golf update and with the Pokemon Snap update, and I don't think it's going to be paid, but that's why I've said either or.
Okay.
I hope it's paid. I hope it's free, but I will pay regardless. They've got me.
That works. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Cool. I like it. All right, my next one, I'm going to enter the sad timeline era of Nintendo as they have each year. Something sad happens. This one, Pikmin Bloom is shutting down by the end of this year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's probably true.
yeah, it is. I mean, Dr. Mario lasted long enough. I think this one's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
It's
I
over.
have not seen anyone talk about that game ever.
Can they bring back Miitomo to replace it? I loved
No.
Miitomo.
Miitomo
It's
was
such a good
garbage,
time
and
in
we
it.
all know it.
It was
No,
hilarious.
it was so fun.
So-
It was
was
really
so
fun.
funny.
And,
Nothing to
and I
do.
racked up so many platinum points in that, which now you can use
Uh-huh.
for physical rewards on my Nintendo. So they need to bring that back just for those.
I did like that part.
You remember it would like ask you questions about your friends and stuff. And
Yeah.
I remember my friend who I was always at their apartment and everything, but it was like, oh, what do you think about them? Or what's something you like about them? And I just wrote dead ass. And then people see your answers and he was cracking up. It was great.
All right, my number 6 is Metroid Prime 4 does not release, but we get a full reveal and Prime Trilogy to tide us over.
Okay, fair enough. I
I
think
feel
I said
like-
Prime 4 is coming on my calendar prediction.
It is on your prediction, and this works out for me because I feel like no matter what, I'll get some points because I don't think it will come out, but if it does, we'll still get a full reveal of it, so that will get me some points. And I think if it's coming out this year, Prime Trilogy has to come out first. So if that's the case,
So I think it's like half point. I don't think you can get a third.
no, I can. That's what we agreed on. If the Prime
Okay, I
Trilogy
don't
comes
think
out
it-
and
I think
neither of
the
these
first
other
thing
things
is you've added a comma in there after the fact, but I think it's one prediction. It's like Metro Prime 4 doesn't release, but we get a full reveal. That's like one,
Yeah.
and then the other half is the Prime trilogy. So that's like 50. Like
That's
half a point and a
not
half
think
point.
that's
half.
not what we
I think
agreed
it's
to
half.
though. The example we gave of your
No.
fucking prediction is a 3-parter. We
Huh.
just
They're all
gave the
over.
example
Sure about that.
earlier.
Isn't yours a two-parter? So it should be half?
No, but yes, but it's exactly like the one that we brought up earlier from Steve's example, which was I'll spoil it. It was about PSVR 2, and it was that PSVR 2 would come out it would cost this amount, and it would work on PC. Right? So it's exactly the same phrasing of this. It's this and this.
But I think you'd only get one
also
point
this.
if they all came true, right?
Yeah, if they all
you only get
no,
1
no,
point if they
that's
all
my
come
point.
true.
Is
You get a
if all
third of
three
a
of these
point.
are correct, I only get 1 point. But if any 1/3 of this is right, I'll get a third of a point. And Steve's trying to take that away from me, even though I gave it to him on the exact same style of prediction. This guy cheats, guys. He's a cheater. He's not even defending himself anymore because he knows that I caught him.
I know. I know how to hook you so bad. It's hilarious. It makes me laugh every time.
You're just like a Tory, bro. You're just saying stuff and seeing if it sticks.
I don't agree with this. I think Metroid Prime 4 is coming out this year.
I know you do.
I think it's ready. However, I think they're also gonna piecemeal that Prime trilogy. I think it's gonna be one game at a time, and I think they're gonna charge full price for them.
You putting that on? Is that your prediction?
No, I don't have that as a prediction, but that's what I think.
You should. That's not bad. I mean, I think that's a pretty good
it's
prediction.
happening this year. I think Prime 4 is coming out.
And what? You think the trilogy's coming out later?
Yeah. Have we?
No.
Where's Metroid 1 to 4? We've had Metroid 5.
But we
still
know
haven't got
that this
Samus
remaster
Returns on
exists,
there.
though. We know they already made it, and they're sitting. Well, we know, quote unquote.
I mean, if you
We've
had
had
Switch
rumors.
Online, you technically had 1, 2, and 3, right? With the NES and SNES stuff.
Yeah, no fusion.
Oh, I guess
Yeah,
isn't
no
Metroid
fusion.
2 on Game Boy?
It's on Game Boy, yeah. Metroid.
Yeah,
so
2
you would
is
have
Game Boy.
Metroid
We just
1
had
and
1 and
3.
3. 1 and
Yeah.
3, right?
Mhm.
So it's not great, but I don't know. We'll see.
All the odd numbers.
All the best ones. All right.
Okay.
What do you got for number 6, Steve?
I'm going to go with this one because I think Chuy might say it. Animal Crossing will receive more content despite Nintendo saying we won't get any more. They've officially came out and said that was it. You've had the big update. You've had the DLC. There's no more for you.
We
I
all
think they're
know
going to keep adding shit. They're
Nintendo
gonna keep
fucking
doing it.
lies all the time. Oh yeah, we're not working on a new Switch. 5 months later, OLED Switch. Here it is, baby. Like, come on. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't help themselves. They did the same stuff with Splatoon. It's like, we're closing down the Splatfest. There's going to be no more. And then like, it happened all the fucking time.
The
At final
last
Splatfest,
ever
they-
Splatfest,
Yeah.
unless we decide that we want to do one, and then we'll just do it.
they put t-shirts out and everything. And then they just
I
like,
have
were like,
one.
well.
It's like, yeah, but it would be cool if they came back, though, right? And everyone's like, yeah, all right, fuck it.
I got the Team Star T-shirt though. It's pretty cool.
It's a good shirt.
Oh, that's nice. I think I went mushroom on that final one.
The final one. That then definitely the last.
The absolute
sure.
last Splatfest.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Funny enough, I don't have any Animal Crossing predictions. Though.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at this guy.
I'm just letting it live its life.
He's got to
with
save him for the
New
Haken
Horizons.
Predictions podcast.
That said, I mean, each update they've like added some little things here and there to the game. So I mean, they're still adding some things, but who knows if they'll do something big. My next one, I'm gonna go back to the Metroid one. Steve, you didn't jump on it, so I'm partially jumping on it. I don't think it's gonna be Metroid Prime 4. I don't think it's going to be the trilogy. I think it's just going to be a Metroid Prime remake specifically for the 20th anniversary this year.
Oh,
So,
okay.
That's a good call.
Yeah, that's a good one.
yeah, and that's 20 years since Metroid Prime originally came out.
Cool.
Wow, we're old.
Yes, we are.
Yep.
I like that. Okay. This is one I think I could see one of you maybe having, so I'll throw it on mine as well. Nintendo's rumored DK game exists and will be revealed.
That's
So-
cool. Did you not do the DK thing, or was that Chewy on the calendar? Did the DK?
That was mine on the
He
calendar.
brought it
Okay.
up, and
Yeah.
I said I didn't think it would come out this year.
Okay.
I think was what happened. But yeah, the rumor that was making the rounds a while back, which has been corroborated by a few different folks, is that there is a DK project being worked on internally at Nintendo. This is their first time making a Donkey Kong game since, what was it? It's one of the rhythm ones. I don't think it was Conga. It was the one like Jungle Beat or something like that, I think. So it's been a minute. It's been since the Wii that Nintendo has done one internally. And the rumor right now is that they basically put together a new studio within their EPD group that will exclusively work on Donkey Kong titles. So yeah, I think I feel like there's enough smoke to that rumor that there's fire, because I've seen multiple unrelated people report and, add different, oh yeah, I've seen this too, and this is what I've heard, and blah, blah, blah. Friend of the show, Pixelpar, I know, tweeted about it a while ago. So I'm pretty sure that it exists. And, we talked about how, like when we did our episode last week where we were kind of looking at the release calendar, there's a lot of question marks right now when it comes to Nintendo Studios and what they're working on, and, what is the next entry in any of their more popular franchises. What are some of their bigger teams working on? We don't know. So the idea that, this is a game that's been in active development for a couple years, it was maybe supposed to be revealed last year for the anniversary, but it maybe got delayed because of, the pandemic. I just feel like it's time for Nintendo to start telling us what's next and like what are the games we have to look forward to. Because there aren't a lot left on the calendar. So,
Yeah.
And a lot of them are slated for this year. Obviously, I said I think like half of them are going to get delayed, but even so, I feel like they're going to want to have stuff to show off, right? Like, what is that big oh shit moment in the next Nintendo Direct? I think Donkey Kong is going to be that moment in one of these directs this year.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, yeah, kind of like Steve said earlier about whatever the next Nintendo console is beyond the Switch. Part of me doesn't believe it just because, like, Nintendo knows they have a console that's doing really well and they can, just keep going with it, right? But at the same time, I think of, like, what is in store for, like, as far as like software coming out, and I'm just like, I feel like they've already covered all of their bases, and it's like, what's next but to go to the new thing? So I'm torn.
Well, and not to
It's
mention,
like,
I think like the hardware is increasingly starting to show its age. Like it
Yeah.
was already not top of the line when it came out in 2017, right? Like I feel like the report at the time was that like everyone's like, oh, like it's it's roughly on par. It's like a little bit better than the PS3. It's like, so it's really not even quite as powerful as what are now last gen consoles. And I think with we've talked a lot about kind of the quality of life changes that have come with the next generation, and things like quicker load times with SSDs, better frame rates, higher resolutions. Like those things are all becoming things that I feel like we take for granted as being the standard now. And I think it does make Nintendo dropping, a brand new AAA game that runs at 30 FPS and dips below that and yada, 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 right? It's like those games are going to increasingly struggle to compete with the other big dogs, if they don't have an iteration of the console sooner than later. I don't think that means it's, like I said, I don't think it's this year. I don't even think it's next year. But I think like, maybe late next year, early 2024, like that's starting to sound right to me. Like a 7-8 year life cycle is pretty good. And, they're only a few million units away from setting a record for a home console.
Yeah.
So, I feel like they're probably ready to start thinking about what does the future look like. Because you also have to think, look at what they did with the 3DS. Just because they announced the Switch 2, the Switch will still be out and getting games to it for probably 2 or 3 years.
That's true.
I mean, that's
And
assuming that the Switch, the new thing, replaces the Switch, right? It could just be another SKU that the other old one sticks around. Like the old Switch is still here with the Switch OLEDs, even like the Switch OLED's around, but you can still buy an old Switch if you want one.
Yeah, but
It could
and
just
they
be
could
that
follow that,
it comes
like,
in and it's like alongside it for a long time.
Yeah, and I think it'll be the same way that the 3DS when they announced the DS, right? They're like, oh, the GBA is not going anywhere. It's the Nintendo family of consoles, and then it gets phased
They
out.
did that with the 3DS though. Like
Yeah.
we learned that the 2DS XL came out after the Switch existed.
And think about it, they were putting out
insanity.
exclusive 3DS games, 1-2 years into the Switch's life cycle. So the idea that we'll get a Switch 2 that's backwards compatible, and it's like, hey, Breath of the Wild 2 and Mario Kart 9 run so much better on Nintendo Switch 2, but you can still play them on your regular Switch. It's fine, no big deal. For like a year or two, and then it gets sunset in the neighborhood of like 2024, 2025, maybe even 2026. Like, yeah, that doesn't seem crazy to me at all,
And I mean, it's increasingly normal to go, the Xbox and PS5 route where a lot of games are just coming out on everything still. I have an Xbox One S and everything's still just coming out on that, so I don't have to upgrade it all.
Yeah, and I mean,
I think we're going to see that moving into next year, which will be 2 years, right? It seems to be about the cross-gen.
I think this year will be the last year that happens. Maybe early next year, to your point, Steve. There's maybe a couple releases, but I think we're already hitting the point where that's not sustainable, and I feel like we're seeing the same thing happen. I feel like we're seeing the same thing happen with Switch as well now, where it's like it is showing its age, and we're at a point where the hardware is going to be limiting development, right? Where like, if Breath of the Wild 2 is a Switch-only title, it will have limitations that it wouldn't have if we got a hardware iteration, right? And things that will make it look like a game that is old compared to, what's coming out today. So that's something that I think they have to be thinking about, I know that Nintendo's on their own trajectory and they don't necessarily care what the competition is doing, but I think stuff like, like these SSDs and like some of the quality of life stuff that we're starting to see is, I think, things that they just can't ignore for too much longer.
I don't know. We still ain't got party chat or usernames, so I think they can ignore stuff as long as they want.
I think those things don't matter as much though. Like they do. Don't get me wrong. Like it would be great if we had party chat and achievements and all those things. But at the end of the day, you buy a Nintendo console for Nintendo software, and if the hardware is getting in the way of the software being the best it can be, that's a problem.
I think last year was the first time we saw Nintendo kind of admit that on one of their own games, which was with Bowser's Fury, the fact that they had to cut the resolution on docked mode versus handheld.
Yeah.
That was like the first game they've ever done it with. I think it's actually the first Mario game they've put out in probably ever that runs at 60, or at least since 64, because I think 64 runs at 30. That didn't run at 60 frames a second, which was disappointing to see. And I think that probably encouraged them to push a lot more. I would imagine the internal studios are asking for more power at this point.
Agreed.
My number 5 is about Pokemon, Pete. So I don't know if you want to read.
Sure. Yeah, I'll read. We have a comment from one Trendy Brendy, and my next prediction will also tie into this one. So, Brendy wrote in and said, and of course, Brendy, one of our Patreon supporters, wrote in and said, hey, so remember how I called the release of Pokemon Sword and Shield's Crown Tundra update using competitive Pokemon information? Well, I got something. Don't know how pleased it'll make you, though. For VGC 16, Pokemon players used Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire games for competitive play and were allowed 2 restricted legendary Pokemon per party. This style of battle is known as GS Cup among VGC players. For VGC 19, GS Cup was also in play for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And now, for VGC 22, the Pokemon Company has announced that starting in February, all ranked battles in Sword and Shield will be conducted using GS Cup rules. So, how is this relevant to your predictions episode? Well, 2016 saw the release of Pokemon Sun and Moon, and 2019 saw the release of Pokemon Sword and Shield. I think that, despite the Pokemon fatigue we're likely to be feeling after Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl and Legends Arceus, that Gen 9 could be coming this year. And then Brendy had a list of potential futures here that I think a couple are pretty interesting. So number 1 is Pokemon Gen 9 is coming as the holiday title, and the proper multiplayer functions Legends lacks, including a ranked battles ladder. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, or Legends is getting a free DLC, which adds a ranked battles ladder, and VGC will pivot to that game. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, or Legends is getting paid DLC as the holiday title. It's unrelated to competitive, and the Pokemon Company is choosing to phase out their official turn-based competitive circuit after 14 years. Sad future. I would cry. Please no. A dedicated Pokemon game is going to be announced, a dedicated competitive Pokemon game will be announced, maybe reusing the Pokemon Stadium branding, and maybe it's free on Switch and mobile. What do you guys think Pokemon is doing this year? Is Pokemon Sleep happening? Trendy Brendy. Lot to unpack there, but as always, Brendy, I truly appreciate you bringing your insight from the world of VGC and competitive play into our conversations about Pokemon, because I am the only one on the show who cares about any of those things. So thank you. I have some thoughts on that. That is going to be my next prediction. Thank you for writing in. So Steve, what is your Pokemon prediction?
So I initially had there will be no new Pokemon game released this year apart from Arceus.
Okay, I was gonna say
Arceus.
not a great prediction.
That's like newly announced.
Got it.
But then I saw Pokemon Sleep, and like, if that comes out, is that technically classed as a game?
It is.
So I honed it in a little bit, and I said no new Pokemon RPG announced this year. I don't think we're getting another one later this year.
Okay.
As much as I think it could happen, as Brendy was saying, I think, and I still believe, the big holiday game is Breath of the Wild 2. And I don't think they'll want Pokemon to conflict with that. So maybe we see a shift and Pokemon becomes the beginning of the year game, as we've seen with Arceus this year. Maybe that happens again next year. I don't think we're going to see it released this year.
It's not unheard of. I believe it was Gen 3 came out in March.
It was like a spring kind of game.
It got
I
delayed,
remember
I
that.
think. Yeah, but that came out in that weird period. And normally it's like more of like a fall thing. Like it would be like September, October, area. But okay. No new Pokemon RPG announced this year. I think. Well, you know what? I won't say what I think about that because it relates to my next prediction. So Chuy, why don't you go number 4?
Yeah, honestly, I was racking my brain for something Pokemon, and I mean, you took the only thought I had, where I was like, I just don't know if they're gonna do an RPG again right now. I think they're probably gonna do some side stuff. So nothing Pokemon related. This one's another little selfish one. Tomodachi Life, a Switch game. Yep.
I love it.
Beloved 3DS title. There's gonna be one for Switch.
Okay. All right. There we go. All
right. I hope
so
they call it that. Tomodachi Life.
A Switch game.
A Switch game.
Okay. So I have a prediction here that's kind of like it's an if-then statement. So if you guys need me to rein it in, that's okay. But let's have a dialogue about it. Because it's kind of like it's dependent on COVID stuff. So my prediction is in response to Brendy's question in terms of like what do I think is going to happen. I think Pokemon Worlds will be canceled again because Worlds hasn't taken place since 2019. It was canceled in 2020. They canceled 2021. And both times they've rescheduled it to take place in London, which is the city that it was originally supposed to take place in. So my thought is that one of two things will happen with Pokemon this year, and it's COVID dependent. I think Pokemon Worlds will either again be canceled due to COVID restrictions. If they do take place, I believe it will be the Sword and Shield Championship, and that will be where competitive takes place. Because to Brendy's question, right, like, is it a DLC? Is it a pivot to, to Arceus or Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl after an edition or something like that? I don't think so, because of the way that COVID has delayed Worlds the last 2 years, this era of meta has not had its Worlds competition. And the fact that they've continually rescheduled it in London makes me think that they want to have it take place there because, of course, Sword and Shield take place in, a UK-inspired region. I think all the competitors who have been invited, they've said all the competitors who have been invited will be re-invited. So I also think that they probably want all those people who have been putting time into this meta and developing teams to have their chance to, to have a proper competition in this meta. So that's my prediction in terms of what happens with Pokemon. If we need to adjust this for the sake of the bet, I'm open to feedback.
So I think the way you've worded it, you can only get a maximum of half a point with that question, with that prediction at the moment. So if you're okay with that, then it's fine, because only one half of that is ever going to happen.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah. You got to commit to one.
Or commit to getting half a point.
Yeah, or
either you commit to having half a point, or you have to cut
risk
one half
it
of
all.
I'll just say they'll be canceled.
That's fair.
And because that's what I think is going to happen. But I'm going to leave this as a parenthetical, just because I want to, if it happens, I want to remember that I said this.
Okay. Just for posterity.
Yeah, yeah. Just like if I'm right. Okay, cool. Great. Called it. Tip of the hat.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
I had nothing else on Pokemon. That's all I had to say.
Okay.
I still long for Detective Pikachu port for Switch.
I'll tell you what, Steve. There's a rumor. There's a rumor floating around that there's going to be a Let's Go sequel one of these days. So
do it. If that happens this year, I'm fine to lose the point, because I like Let's Go.
That'll be a trade you're happy to take.
Yeah, I'm happy with that trade. I can use my. How much did it cost? Like £50 Pokeball controller that I spent all that money on.
Oh no, it won't work anymore. There's a new one with added functionality. You have to buy a
penny.
second one.
Worth every penny. That's the greatest controller of all time.
So my number 4 is some new software for the Ring.com will be announced. I think it's just time for something fresh. That was the best-selling JRPG the year it came out.
Ring Fit 2!
Wow.
So if we get Ring Fit 2, I think you don't have to buy the whole package then. Lots of people already have the Ring.com. You just download the next game and you carry on your adventure. Maybe they do like an additional accessory that goes with it that allows you to do extra exercises or something. Maybe you have like 2 Joy-Cons on your leg. But I think we'll see something new for the Ring.com. It's just it would be a shame just to have one game for that really cool piece of hardware.
True. And I think if that's the case, they'd probably have to make like a standalone copy, because right now the only way to get Ring Fit, I think, is like just the bundle with everything in it. Like there's no just like copy of the game. There's not a digital version, so that'd be nifty.
Yeah, like a digital version of the game would be great, so you don't have to carry the cartridge around or to swap it out all the time.
Yeah.
Because like it's one of those games that if you're playing it every day, you're disrupting another game.
That's why you should play digital. Oh, what was that? Sorry, digital's better than physical. What? Oh, sorry, frog in my throat.
I'd rather save like £10 per game than go digital with Nintendo.
Sure.
Must be nice to have the option.
We don't have those.
All right, so Chuy, number 3.
All right, there's a lot of talk about a new Nintendo mobile game. It's time. Nintendogs Mobile.
Oh, okay.
Whoa, that would be
perfect.
cool.
That's
It's
a good
the
one.
perfect Nintendo series for mobile. Why they haven't done it, I don't know, but it would basically take some of the concepts of Pikmin Bloom, like taking your dog on a walk and getting your steps and everything, but actually be fun, because you get to take care of a little dog, or I guess a cat. They started mixing those in there. But
yeah, you throw in some like
Nintendogs-
Tamagotchi-like things, right? Where it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
like
you gotta
little
feed them every
games.
They're
couple
sending
hours. They die.
notifications all day long.
Yeah.
Rover's really hungry. Come and feed him. Rover's really
Exactly.
wants you to pet him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what would be really cool
Never
if you're out
ending.
and about and you go past someone else playing it, that your like dogs could
It, like,
have
barks.
like a play session?
Yeah.
meet
Your
up.
phone barks, and it's like, oh, pull it out. Let the dogs play.
I mean, that's like that's the Street Pass feature, right?
Mhm.
They wanted with the 3DS. Like, just have them exchange some cool things, get cool prizes.
Cool.
But,
All right.
I'd love that.
That's a good one. Okay. So my number 3 is going to be Nintendo will announce another non-gaming collaboration, a la Universal, the Mario movie, or the collaboration with Lego.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Any like not to put it in the prediction, but anything you predict like or would like to see?
Um, I think the thing that seems most likely to me is that they announce new entertainment projects, because I think
Like a Netflix tie-in or
yeah,
something?
like a Netflix show, or maybe like another feature film based on like Zelda or something else, or Donkey Kong or whatever, right? I think that makes the most sense. Like, we've seen them talk a lot in the last couple of years about how they're like, we as a company want to do a better job of leveraging our IP in ways that are not specific to video games, right? And since then, since they said that, the Universal announcement happened. We have a Mario movie for the first time in 20 fucking years. We had the Lego collaboration. We had the go-kart toys and everything. So honestly, I think it will probably be things in each of those spaces are equally likely. The idea of like a new movie, a new show, a new toy collaboration, something like that. I think any of those things could happen. And I think the fact that like the Mario movie is coming out means that some of those things are far more likely, right? Like any toy stuff that they haven't already done, expect it to happen now, right? Because they're gonna want to have, they want to create that pipeline for you to be a kid who goes and sees the Mario movie and is like, I love Mario and I want a Mario toy and I want Mario Legos and I want the new Mario Kart and I want the new Mario game. And that's what they're trying to achieve, right? With this multimedia blitz is like they want to hit you where you live and they want to be everywhere that you are. Nintendo's already in the toy business, right? They make Amiibo and they sell hand over fist. So I think any of those things are likely and will probably happen. But if I had to like stake in the ground, like what's the thing, and it's not me being like, there will be a Mario toy without saying, I think a Legend of Zelda adaptation is like the next hill to climb, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if that's animated. I don't know if that's a series. Like, they had those plans for that Netflix series that fell through years ago and that kind of stuff. So it's something that they've talked about and been entertaining for years. So I think, especially if the Mario movie comes out and is a success, I think that they're going to want to double down on that strategy and be like, okay, who's next? Like, who's the next at bat? Yeah. And when they talk about their big IP, it's always Mario and then it's Zelda.
They need to get the people that did the animation at the beginning of Link's Awakening to come back and do like a whole anime series.
Yeah, it looks good.
Because it was so good. It looks so good. I would absolutely love that.
I would much rather them go that route, because my fear is that they do like a Zelda movie that's like done by like Illumination or something like that. And like I can see Illumination making a Mario movie that hits, and it's like Mario's funny and goofy and silly, and the idea of them making like a very, very child-centric comedy, I'm like, yeah, they can do that. Whether or not it'll be the best version, whether or not I would have liked to see someone else do it is immaterial. I get that project. The idea of them being like, oh, well, we worked with Illumination and we like them, so they should do Zelda, is like, I don't think that same tone is what we're going for here, right? Like, I think we want something that's more akin to like The Hobbit or like The Lord of the Rings, and something that's like, or like, like obviously
you could get Universal to do it because they have that deal with them for the parks. Like, could easily get them to make it.
Well, doesn't Illumination
or one of their studios.
Isn't Illumination owned by Universal?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I think they are.
Well, they can just get one of the other studios to make it for them then.
Yeah, I don't know. Who's to say? We'll see what happens, right? I think there's a lot of ways they could go, and that would be interesting. But I really feel like we're approaching the dawn of the video game movie. I feel like Hollywood is like, the pipeline for making things in Hollywood and on television these days is like, how can we leverage this IP that already exists, right? And like between the success of like the Sonic movie, if the Mario movie hits, if The Last of Us is good, I feel like
as long as they're all not critically acclaimed and they're all terrible this year, then that's fine.
For you, yeah. But I think there's a good chance that those things all come out and are successful, and then their blood is in the water in the same way it has been for the last decade with comic book shit, where it's like, there are like independent comics that before the first issue even comes out, somebody buys the movie rights, right? So it's like I feel like we're fast approaching the day where other places outside of games are like, this is a rich place for IP for us to steal. So I think we'll get a lot more of that from Nintendo, provided everything goes the way they want it to with the Mario movie, and I have a hard time thinking that it won't. Steve, number 3.
Netflix will finally come to Switch, so we'll stick with the media side. It's about fucking time.
Bold prediction. I don't think so.
Just get it over there.
I don't think so, man.
I love that.
It's like, why wouldn't it already be there?
Yeah, I know. We're coming into I was scraping at the bottom of the barrel for like feasible concepts and ideas for predictions, to these are risky as fuck now all the way up to the end.
All right, What do you got, Chuy?
All right, I want to continue what you were saying about all of the show things and their partnership with Universal. I think that the shows that Nintendo had planned with Netflix got thrown out because of this deal with Universal. I think they're still wanting to do that. So I think they're going to turn a lot of their games into shows. The shows will stream exclusively on Peacock and on Nintendo TV, which is a new streaming app that'll be available for anybody who has gotten the Nintendo Switch expansion pack.
Wow, that's like multi-layered. Okay.
Incredible.
I'm glad you said Peacock, because I thought you were gonna say Netflix, and I know something about that I feel obligated as your friend to tell you, but as someone betting against you, I wouldn't want to tell you, which is that the reason that the Netflix stuff fell through was because somebody at Netflix leaked that information and everybody heard about it and it became a huge news story, and Nintendo was like, you can't be trusted with private information, so we will no longer be working with you, Netflix. And that's they were gonna make a Robot Chicken style puppet show about Star Fox, and that was in active development.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
I'm heartbroken that doesn't exist.
That would have been so.
It was
good.
remember when they did that at the E3 that one year? They had the Star Fox puppets. It was based on that. They were like, people really responded to this. We should do a whole series like that. And then, it never materialized for that reason.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's my lengthy prediction.
All right, put it on the dock.
On Nintendo TV?
Huh? Nintendo TV? It's going to have all your classic Mario and Zelda cartoons, but then also all the new stuff.
Can we watch that one that Pete's always talking about?
Super Mario Brothers Super Show!
Yeah,
that'll thing.
Yeah. It'll have the Pikmin shorts. They're going to be brought back. It's going to have everything.
We'll have the Japanese Animal Crossing anime, not dubbed.
Every announcement trailer for Smash, it's all there.
All 60 hours of them.
All right, so Chuy, that one's too long, so you have to go type that up in our document, okay? We've been typing up all your other predictions, but that one's on you.
Keep up.
Steve just wrote, Chuy, paste here. Because he gave up. All right, well, while you do that, I will pick my next one. Okay.
Where's mine?
This one is, I think, a fairly risky pick based on things they've said in the past and whatever, but I'm going to say it anyway. Nintendo will reveal the revival of another quote-unquote dormant IP a la Metroid Dread, where there will be a game revealed in a franchise that has been on ice for a while, but it's going to come back.
So are you thinking a Mother reboot?
It could be that. It could be an F-Zero. Any of the things, Star Fox even, right? Any of the stuff where you're like, man, where's that been? It'll be...
Where's Star Tropics been? Let's get Star Tropics back. It's been gone for too long.
You're holding your breath on that one, I think. Or don't hold your breath on that one, I should say. Yeah, because I feel like with Metroid Dread, they probably see hey, this is an IP that we've had for years and it's never quite hit, and we presented it in the right way with the right team at the right time, and it's back and it's now a bestseller again. So I feel like they're going to want to continue to do that because there's clearly a lot of opportunity for it, right? And I have to imagine that how Metroid performed has influenced them in terms of what projects they think they should work on or could work on and could sell at $60 and this, that, and the other thing. So yeah, I think based on that, I feel like now feels like a good time for them to do that. I mean, not to mention, right? Like we've seen it with the Switch, where lots of IP that is, stuff that has always had its audience or historically been successful reach new levels of success and new heights of success on the Switch. So yeah, I feel like they're gonna wanna try to replicate that success that they've seen with your Metroid Dreads, with your Fire Emblem Three Houses, and like what's the next thing we can polish up and bring back and make bigger than it ever was before. I feel like that's what they're trying to do with Kirby right now too. Is like, hey, like let's make a Kirby game that's like a big deal. Okay. Steve, number 2. Getting to the wire here. Getting down to the wire.
This one's related to the last one, and you said why would Netflix not be here already? And I think the main reason is a technical reason. I think we need a web browser on Switch. There is not a decent web browser. You look at the way the eShop performs. Can you imagine running through Netflix at that pace?
I mean, Hulu works.
I don't know the technical aspects of Hulu, but I know every single Netflix app is just a web page, and it loads up a React.js page of things. It's not really an app; it's just a website that looks nice. And I don't think it can run on the Switch in its current state. But I do think that Netflix could run if Nintendo added like a GPU accelerated web browser onto their platform. So hopefully this is the year that we get one.
Okay.
That'd be nice. All right. I got one more before our risky ones, right?
Yeah. This is the last of 10.
As if none of my other ones weren't risky. This one is the bottom of the barrel. Nintendo publishes one of their weird indie games. Like just one of their weird,
like Good Job or like Stretchers or whatever,
Clips or Stretchers, something like that. Just they do one of those weird $20.
Do you know what always
indies
annoys me about them though? Is they never tell you who published them, who developed them. You have to go and like trawl through the credits in order to find it. It's so strange. Like they did that with Metroid, for example. Like you would never have known by playing Metroid. It's not written anywhere on the box that anyone other than Nintendo made it.
Yeah,
and that's the brand, baby.
How they do it.
Okay, cool. All right, so for my last one, I'm gonna say, and this one's, I don't know. This one's like weird. It could be risky. It could not be risky at all. But a lot of the other ones I have some level of redundancy with what we did last week, so I'm just going to stick with this one. Nintendo will reveal a new IP.
Interesting, okay.
So, obviously, this is safe in the regard that they kind of always put out something new, but, like, they did one last year, right? So it's like, I could very easily not get this point. But I know that there was a conversation that was published maybe in like May of last year where they were talking with one of the execs at Nintendo, and they were saying how, obviously people love Mario, people love Zelda, those are our tentpole franchises, but we're really interested in developing new IP and working on new franchises and bringing people new games and new characters. So that leads me to think that, the brass at Nintendo, the newer leadership, new generation of leadership that's kind of been steering the ship during the Switch generation is probably interested in, cultivating new IP and new ideas and not continually going back to the well, like Nintendo is so often accused of. So I'm hopeful that will be the case. So I'm going to throw this one out there because I think it's likely they'll show us something new, but I'm hoping that it's going to be a new IP in the vein of like Splatoon or ARMS, not like a Good Job or something like that, even though that would still satisfy me getting
it does a Good Job, Ken, because it's not technically like theirs. I mean, we don't know who owns it. I think they just publish it.
If they publish it, they
own it. Not always.
I mean, excluding like deals where that's specifically not the case, I think that's historically how it's worked with them. But I could be wrong.
Okay.
But I would say it would still count because, well, maybe not though, actually, because they did make Game Builder Garage, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we'll see. Right? If an example comes up and we don't agree that it qualifies, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, and I'll be gracious about it.
You won't cheat.
No.
My number one. My number one is Nintendo will not release a game based on a new original IP. I think we've seen the year is fucking stacked full.
That's why I said reveal.
Old stuff. I know you said reveal. Yeah,
very careful.
I didn't say reveal. I specifically said release because they could well reveal something for 2023. But I don't think we're seeing anything new that we can play this year. I think it's all going to be old classics that we know and love.
I think you're probably right. All right.
Fair.
Time to close things out with the crazy shit, everybody. The risky picks. Chuy, what is your risky pick?
You both know this one. I saved it for last. Chris Pratt, the guy who's going to voice Mario.
Oh, man. Okay.
Well, he's going to say something that gets him canceled. And Nintendo is forced to recast and delay the movie to redo all the voice work.
Okay, so I'm saying Chris Pratt will be fired and recast in the role of Mario. The film will be delayed.
Yep.
Oh, that's a classic. I can't believe you put that in there.
You got a fingers crossed from Sarah. She liked that one.
It's the risky pick right there. But it's the one everybody's hoping for.
It could happen. Could happen. Stranger Things, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't because the individual was canceled, but the original version of Shrek, the entirety of it, I believe, was recorded with Chris Farley, and they didn't quite finish it. And then when he died, Mike Myers came in and recorded it, and then they re-recorded it because he decided that he should have a Scottish accent. And you can check my facts on that one, but I'm pretty sure that all of those points are correct. So, hey, an animated movie, it's not that hard to recast somebody, right? Like,
That's true.
if everybody else is good to go, you got everything else done. That's a couple weeks of work to get a new person in, record it all. Not crazy. It could happen. All right. My risky pick is going to be that Game Boy games come to Nintendo Switch Online. I think this is one of those ones where it's like,
I don't think that's risky at all.
Why? You
Because
think that makes
we
sense?
had the rumor that the N64 stuff was coming and another platform along with the Game Boy. And it came true. The N64 stuff came true to this expansion pass.
Yeah.
Like it's all been rumored and like confirmed, basically.
It hasn't been confirmed, though. It's been rumored from third-party sources that are uncorrect. It's like, to me, it's kind of like there was, like, Nintendo put out a patent for an N64 controller, right? Like, years ago, right? It's like, is that evidence that an N64 Classic was coming, or that they were going to put out a wireless controller 5 years later on a console that didn't exist yet? It's like, so if you both feel like that's not risky enough, I'll table this one, and you have to go first though, Steve, because I got to think of something else. Where are you at with this, Chuy? You think this is not risky enough?
Did you say what year?
Yeah, this year.
Okay, cool.
And I said they would come out too. So if they announced it and then it came out next year, I would not get the point. Here's my thing. Here's my argument for why.
This is 2 points. Chewy.
Here's my argument for why I feel it's risky. And I'll lay this out, and then we'll decide. Nintendo, the original one that came out was the NES games. A year later, Super Nintendo games came out. There was a year break. N64 and Genesis came out at the same time. To me, the idea of them putting out another one this year, it's like, that doesn't feel like a foregone conclusion. They just spent a bunch of money to get this Sega stuff. Like, I don't know. It could happen, but I don't feel like it's likely.
I don't know.
I think this is more likely than some of the ones in your list.
Oh yeah, like which one?
Like,
That's funny. I don't know. I don't know. I don't see this happening. I really don't. I don't know why. Where are you at with it, Chuy? You be the deciding vote. Does it stay or does it go?
I think it'd be riskier if you like went with something that wasn't a Nintendo console is
Okay.
added to there.
All right, I'll back this out for now. You go, Steve, and I'll think.
I've got 3. You want to hear all mine?
Yeah.
Possibles?
Yeah, maybe I'll steal one.
So I was going to do last year. Remember, last year I said Game Pass was coming to Switch. Didn't happen.
Yeah,
I thought it was boring to do the same one again.
sure.
So I've got my other thought was Labo's going to make a comeback. It's been gone for a while.
Nice.
Is it time to come back? Probably not. We got Game Builder Garage.
Not a chance.
And then I thought, what about a Nintendo-owned character will appear in a game on another platform other than mobile? Like, it can't be a mobile game. It can't be one of their own mobile games. So, like, I'm thinking Xbox, PlayStation, or PC. You're going to see one of their characters pop up in a game.
You're staking your claim on that one?
Yeah, that's my risky pick.
That to me is like, I mean, like if we're talking about rumors and everything, we just like there was that whole thing with Fortnite and Samus and everything, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was like they pitched it to Nintendo and Nintendo turned it down.
yeah.
They've traditionally not been open to their
Yeah.
franchises being on other platforms.
That's true.
I
Yeah,
go with one of the other two if you don't like this one. If either of you don't like this one, I'll go with the other one.
No. I don't dislike it.
I like it.
I think my one caveat would be if it's Fortnite, this doesn't count.
Okay, and not Fortnite. That's fine.
Just because it literally like, because that could be a thing where they're like, oh, they said no, but really it's because they don't want to reveal that it's coming. Like, just because I think that would be bullshit if you got 2 points because of that. And it was like, they already fucking said this shit. This is not a prediction.
No, that's fine. That's fine. No Fortnite then.
Okay. Huh. So now it's on. All right. Hold on. I'm gonna look this up. What Nintendo anniversaries are happening this year?
Oh my god. Do you know what that game? You can have the Game Boy one if you're like more specific. Like, I think you've got to guess up like a couple of the launch games.
Ooh.
Because I don't think
Or you
alone
say
that's not worth 2
Pokemon's
points.
not going to be included in them.
I don't think that's crazy, honestly. Cause like, well, I don't know. It could be.
Who knows? Pokemon Snap came out, brand new version last year, and then they added Pokemon Snap to the N64 lineup.
They're fucking
So I
crazy,
think-
man. Is the problem?
I think Pokemon's are fine to go on the Game Boy games list.
Yeah. Well, and they did
Yeah.
port them to 3DS, so. Okay. All right. Here's what I'll say. Game Boy games come to NS Online. Launch titles include Pokemon Red and Blue, Super Mario Land, and Link's Awakening.
Cool. Fine with me. You can have half a point for the titles, I guess. Like you can.
Like
I
if it
think
comes
has
and
to
I'm
have-
wrong about those, then we'll reduce how
yeah,
many points
you
I
can
get.
have. Yeah, you get. I guess you'll get 1 point because it's a double point there.
Yeah. I think for me to get the full 2 points, I have to be right about all of those things.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's more than fair. All right, cool.
That'd be a great lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be solid.
Yeah.
You should have said Virtual Boy coming to it. You know, that would have been risky. You know, something like that. Virtual Boy.
That would
coming
be
no.
to
that would
the
never
lineup.
happen. That's got to be worth 5 points. Like
You can only play it with the Labo VR.
Oh my god.
That's why Labo's making a comeback.
There we
It's
go.
the Virtual Boy edition.
Oh my god,
it.
that's
Yep.
crazy.
Nailed it.
I love it. So did you guys have any that we didn't get to that you want to share?
No, and my only other one was Mario Kart 9 will be called Super Mario Kart, but I don't think that's happening this year, like I said.
Yeah, all my other ones are stuff that were like tied to stuff from last week, and I had them as like subs in case you took any of mine. So like I had we'll get a full reveal of Breath of the Wild 2. That was one of my ones from last year that didn't happen. I'm like, well, it's got to be this year then, right? Like, that's one of those ones you just keep guessing until it happens, right? Nintendo will release another limited release. That was one of my ones from last year that didn't come true. I feel like that could happen this year, so I was like, I gotta have that in my back pocket.
I kind of think they're done with those at this point. I hope they're done with those at this point.
But why would they be? Because
They
there was
would
a medium level of negative reaction and a huge boost in profits.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't think the bad press is bad enough for them to give a shit about the fact that they rose their market share by selling old games for $60, you know? And then the other one I had
like limited
was
Kirby things before too.
What was
And
that?
I think I think they've done like limited Kirby releases.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Wasn't there one?
And they did the Mario All-Stars collection on Wii. That was like another limited thing. Like I don't know. There is a precedent there. I also had Breath of the Wild 2 will not release, and Nintendo will give us another Zelda remaster, as an apology again, like the same way they did this time.
Which one we getting? Is it Wind Waker?
It's in active development. We're super sorry. Here's Skyward Sword. Like that's I think something like that will probably happen. And then that was it. Yeah. So solid lists, boys. I think if most of this stuff happens, Nintendo's got a hell of a year. So we shall see.
None of my stuff's happening.
I don't know. Splatoon 3, limited console could well happen.
I think that's a slam dunk. The Joy-Cons.
They've
done Joy-Cons with every Splatoon game. Like that one's like I think like a fucking
all one of them on Switch.
All one of them on Switch. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. You're right. But yes, I feel like that'll happen. I do. They have multiple,
and they love. I could see it not being an OLED Switch though, and them just trying to flog off the old stock, because that's the other thing they do, right?
Yeah.
Or I could see it being a Switch Lite, and it's just like it's got like paint splatter on it, like all over it, kind of thing. Like
I would love that. I would want to buy one of those. So I don't want them to make that just because I want to buy one of those, and I should not justify buying another console.
But I would never play Splatoon on it handheld.
No, I need a Pro Controller.
You just buy that one just to put it on display. It's just an art piece in your house.
My brother actually did that with the Pokemon Sword and Shield Switch Lite. He has it framed. It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Oh, that's cool. I love that one.
All right. So I am looking forward to seeing how this plays out. I think there's 2022 is going to be an interesting year for Nintendo Switch, I think, because there are things on the horizon that if they all hit and they're all great, I think we'll look back on this as like great year, like one of the better years of the Switch. But I also think there's a really good chance that a lot of that stuff does not come and it ends up feeling light. And I feel like it feeling like a light year as the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are becoming, relatively more available and are starting to have some of their bigger bangers start to come out, like Horizon in a couple weeks, if it hits God of War later this year, those kinds of things. Obviously, Xbox has a ton in the pipeline. I don't think there's reason to worry for Nintendo's sake, but I think that this could be the first year since the Switch releases where it looks like they're,
there's a shift.
Yeah, where there's a shift and the narrative isn't like, look at Nintendo continuing to run away with things, in their own way.
I don't know, because there seemed to be that narrative the year of Animal Crossing. If you weren't into Animal Crossing that year, it was kind of like, well, what do I play then? Because we all had 300-400 hours that we could chuck into that game. Other people were just left feeling a little bit dry.
I feel like last year kind of felt that way as well. I think a lot of people felt that way, where there just wasn't that much to play on your Switch,
I thought that, and then when we were doing the Game of the Year list, I looked back, it was like Bowser Fury was great, I loved Metroid Dread, absolutely loved Mario Party Superstars. There was a lot of good stuff.
You're right, but I think that if you're doing the comparison of let's evaluate this year, excuse me, Metroid is really the only game that I feel like came out that feels like it's on that A tier of like a Breath of the Wild, a Splatoon, where it's like, oh, this was a big release that everybody talked about, and it was one of the games of the year contender, and whatever, right? Animal Crossing was that the previous year, and it was kind of like, oh, if that wasn't for you, then what were you playing? I feel like you could make a similar argument about this year or past year, where it's like if you weren't playing Metroid and you're not into, you know, co-op games, then like what were you playing, you know? And not to say that there weren't a lot of good games, but there were a lot of good games that came out in 2020 as well. But I also get what people are talking about, where it's like there are fewer and fewer big marquee titles like that on the Switch lately. It feels like that way anyway, right? Because it's like, okay, yeah, like Animal Crossing was fucking gargantuan, right? But if that's not for you, it's not for you. If you only have one big game every year that's like your play, yeah, like that, I don't think that that's inherently problematic, but I think while you have the other competitors being like, we have bigger, better, faster consoles, and we have 2 Game of the Year contenders this year, is like, oh, fuck. Like, you know, like Xbox had that this year. Xbox had Halo and Forza within weeks of each other, right? And we're looking at this year and being like, well, Metroid was good, and yeah, if you like Mario Party, and, you know, and I like those games. I'm not complaining. Yeah, but like, even so, it's the same. Yeah, okay. Do you like that kind of game? Great. Then there were 2 of those for you. Great. But if you don't, you know, I think that it's going to really come down to like where some of these releases line up. Because Breath of the Wild comes out this year, then it's like, it doesn't matter, right? They could put out nothing else and it will be a successful year for them.
Is it going to be crazy that comes out in December? It's not eligible for the Game of the Year.
Yeah, Game of the Year 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I'm very interested because it feels like a lot of things are winding down, and it feels like we're getting towards the end of the Switch's life cycle for the first time. Like, this is the first time I've felt that, where I'm like, ooh, okay, yeah. Feels like the cadence is slowing down. It feels like we've got a couple more big games in the chamber, and then it's all eyes on the horizon, you know? We shall see, though.
I think that could all change, though. Like, they do some big announcements this year. We get a new 3D Mario in the same year as possible. That new Zelda game. It's like
Splatoon 3 comes out.
Splatoon 3 comes out. It could feel like launch year all over again.
It really could.
Of Mario Kart 9.
Yeah, and you're
I think that's
totally
honestly,
right.
Like, Splatoon 3 is the weirdest, like, late announcement. Like, even weirder to me than a Breath of the Wild sequel because of, like, how they come out. They're like, they launch with, I don't know, 5 maps or so, and then they just keep adding stuff, keep adding weapons, keep adding tons of things, and then they have the Splatfests run for who knows how long. So I'm just like, how long are we going to get out of that one? Like, is it a year? Is it a couple years? What's their plan there? So
that's a good question, too, when you think about
that's the weird one with me.
Like, when Splatoon 3 is coming out in relation to when we think there may be a new console. Right,
like, but I think it plays on the new console just fine anyway. I don't think that's an issue. Like, I feel like all Switch software is going to play on the new console.
I agree with that, but it's also like, I don't know. Like, does that affect the life cycle of the game at all? I don't know. Like, it's an interesting question, right? People are still playing Splatoon 2. You know what? 4 years later.
Yeah, and they have stopped adding content. I think they stopped adding content 2 years after launch. So maybe you get 2 years out of it. That takes you up to 2024, and then we get the new console.
We start talking about Splatoon 4.
Who knows? Yeah.
I think that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because it's like, I think this year has the potential to either be looked at as, oh, this is like the best year since launch year, or it could be like, oof, when's that Switch 2 coming? You know, and like, it's gonna be really interesting to see where that coin falls, because I really feel like it's up in the air right now, and I could see it going either way. Obviously, you know, I hope it falls on the side of it's a hype year for Nintendo, and, you know, we get all these games and they hit. We'll see, right? I mean, hell, who knows, right? Arceus is out.
Can you imagine as well, like,
go ahead, sorry.
I was saying, can you imagine as well if Horizon loses out to Game of the Year again to Breath of the Wild? It would be so cruel.
The only way that I would be like down with them both to come out this year is if they both come out and then Horizon wins Game of the Year this year, because I want it to, like, That would be like such a like Cinderella story, you know, like. But yeah, we shall see on that one. But what I was gonna say was, you know, with Arceus coming out in just a couple weeks, like that game could come out and slap and be like, oh, coming out the gate hot, Nintendo, like Game of the Year contender.
Yeah.
What's up? Like, it could happen. So you know, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
It's exciting. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at like what we know about so far, and there's some pretty cool things. I think between if Zelda actually makes it this year, if Pokemon's awesome, Splatoon 3 does good things. Even on top of that, like 3D Kirby, this is like the first time I'm excited for a Kirby game in I don't know how long. So.
And Fire Emblem's coming out, right? Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even without Fire Emblem, like tactics-wise, like I'm pretty set. Mario and Rabbids, Advance Wars, and then Triangle Strategy, like that's good for me in that realm. So
more strategy games. This is the niche genre
I
want to play this year on Nintendo.
I don't mind it. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, this was a blast. Thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Nintendo Noise. I am very eager to see what 2022 brings in the world of video games. I am pretty confident it's going to be a good one. Let's hope that we think that Nintendo is one of the main reasons for that when all's said and done. So, if you guys want to write in with your thoughts about what's going to happen in 2022 or any of the other stuff we discuss on this year's show, remember, you can head over to FlipScreen.games. That's our website where we've got links to our email address, our Discord, our Twitter. All of those are great ways for you to get in touch with us and keep the conversation rolling after the episode ends. And, of course, if you want to, show your support, go above and beyond, please give us a rating on the show wherever you listen to it. Head over and give us a 5-star review. If you're on YouTube, like the episode, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell. Let people know that we're out here doing a show that you enjoy every single week and that you think that they would enjoy too. And if you want to go even, be above and beyond that, you can head over to the Patreon. And there are just a ton of different perks and goodies that you can get depending on what level you go and show your support. You can get access to One More Thing, our extra podcast. You can get to the Twitch archive. You can become a Patreon producer. You can even get a personalized message from us if you want. So be a cool kid like Mary Berry and go support the show. So for this week on Nintendo Noise, I've been Pete. He's been Chewy. He's been Steve. We'll see you.